The following module is on creativity and how to become creative. And if you look at creativity, it's quite interesting, is that you have to postpone judgment. It's about generating ideas first in the first place and selecting these ideas later. So judging is always later. So we will postpone judgment from the ideation phase. This is one. The second element, it's about generating many ideas. Some of these ideas will be really bad, some will be really good, some will be average. But it's about generating many ideas, because when you generate ideas, you get other ideas. So it's like a train that starts and it stops rolling and rolling and rolling. And then you get to really excellent ideas. It is very rare that somebody has a straight, excellent idea from the beginning onwards. It doesn't work like that. It's about generating first a lot of ideas and work with that. So it's about mass, it's about quantity before quality. That's another aspect, a principle you should be aware of. It's also about yes and statements. And what I mean by that, if in group, when you have a brainstorming, it's about saying yes and you build on that idea. You populate that idea, you push that idea forward. Some people use the yes but statements, and those statements are more judgmental statements. It's more criticism almost, and therefore creativity blocks. So it's always about allowing yes and statements and not allowing yes but statements. So when somebody in the group says yes but, you have to say, look, it's about ideation first and judgment later. That's really, really important. So when you want to create something, it's about like, oh, what is this mess thing? It's like in the matrix, it's very, very unclear. But there are some really good frameworks out there that can help you to be creative in a structured way. One of these frameworks is so-called SCAMPER. And SCAMPER stands for substitute, combine, adjust, the M for modify, magnify, or minify, the P from put to other uses, E from eliminate, and R from reverse or rearrange. So these are some concepts that how you can play with an idea. And if you look at some details, you can basically put any topic to this SCAMPER model. Substitute is basically saying, okay, what other materials could you use for this one? How can it be done differently? What could be done? Which material might we be better fitting or worse fitting or cheaper or more expensive? And by playing materials, for example, you substitute an element where you never thought of. And I'll give an example later how this works brilliantly. Combine is to combine two elements that you didn't think of. What about wings and a bike? How did it work out? Adapt is there something similar you could apply on the existing problem? And this is, I'll give a great example later as well, is to try to find out, okay, how can you adapt a situation for something else? How can you adapt a device for something else? How can we change that in such a way it can be used in a different context or different terrain, things like that. Put to other uses, what else could you use it for? If you have a hammer, for example, you might think, okay, a hammer is to put nails, but what else could you use a hammer for? And you can build on that. Eliminate, what components could you remove such it still works? The eliminate process is quite interesting, because if you look at any design, you could eliminate as much as materials such you can go to the basics. So it's a good way to understand what is actually the essence here of a design. Reverse, rearrange, what could you replace? What could you reconsider? Things like that. But maybe the best way is to give you an example here. So this is a snapshot from a video where you see this guy riding on water. Now you might think this is Photoshop, right? No, actually this is a true snapshot from a video where somebody is driving his bike on water. So what he did though is that this inventor was used to have these trial bikes, and he used to modify it for snow, and he used wings for that, as the bike sometimes might sink into the snow, and he wanted to avoid that. And he played with certain wings so that the bike would stay more lifted on top of the snow. And after a while he realized, well, snow is frozen water, right? Why not do it on water as well? And by using some wings before and after, and the front wheel and the back wheel, he was able to realize that, yeah, if the wings is right, you can actually drive on water. And he proved it. That said, okay, it was a lot of use and trial error. He did it many trials. And so it's a long story. So what you see here is the final product. But before he got there, I mean, it took a while, many prototypes to make this happen. But what he did was he put things to a different use. He arranged things, he combined things, he looked at it differently. He didn't look at the bike just for on the road or on the dirt or on dirt track or whatever. But he said, hey, what about snow? And from snow, he went to water. So he actually went pretty far with this idea, with this ideation, actually. And if you look at the SCAMPER method, you start realizing you can do it for many objects as well. It takes a little bit of practice. It's not so straightforward. It needs a lot of reflection and brainstorming and thinking and rethinking. So it's a slow method, but it's a powerful way to shift things around a little bit. So the benefits of this approach, the SCAMPER method, it's a structured approach to creativity. It's a very structured approach to creativity. And it's a tool. You might say, hey, how can I reverse this? How can I add something differently? So it helps you to think out the box a little bit. And also it's about reframing. And that said, like I mentioned before, it takes time to get used to it. It takes some practice. But don't let it discourage you. It is a great tool to apply. Even if you use some of the letters, not all of them, that's already an eye-opener when you do creativity. And that will really advance your thinking and your discussions in class, things like that, because you have this ability to shift perspective quite fast. And that's a great tool to have and a great tool to use in the class when you have projects together and when you do some essays as well, because you will have different perspective to the same topic. That is always refreshing when you're studying and when you're delivering for an exam. So give it a shot and let me know how it's going.